had been useful all morning. That was my role, holding doors, signing checks, nodding at vendors who spoke to me like I was a walking ledger. People smiled with that special gratitude reserved for someone whose value is assumed rather than examined. I wore it easily. I had spent years earning that invisibility. The church smelled like lemon polish and old stone. In the hall beside the vestry, someone laughed too loudly, the sound bouncing off plaster. I slowed only because my shoe caught on a rug that hadn't been taped down properly. "That girl is so naive," the groom said. He sounded amused, not cruel. That was worse. "I mean, look at her life. And her dad. Loaded. I just have to play this right." Someone whistled. Someone else said something I didn't catch. Then more laughter. I stood there, my hands still on the edge of a folding table stacked with programs. No one noticed me. They couldn't see through the door, and I couldn't make my legs move. It wasn't shock exactly. It was the sensation of a floor plan rearranging itself in my head. Walls sliding into places they should have been all along. I did not burst in. I did not confront him. I did not even frown. I waited until the laughter faded and the hall filled again with footsteps and errands. And then I walked away with the careful steadiness of someone carrying something fragile and dangerous. My daughter was upstairs, surrounded by hands and pins and murmured reassurances. She looked calm in the way people do when they've decided to trust the structure holding them up. I watched her from the doorway and a memory surfaced, her at 9, asking me if she should forgive a friend who had lied to her. I told her forgiveness didn't require pretending nothing happened. I wondered when I'd stopped following my own advice. There was still time. Enough of it to ruin everything. Enough of it to do something precise. I stepped into a side room and made a call. Not to family. Not to friends. To the officiant's office. Someone who already had a legal role here. Someone whose authority wouldn't look like panic. I spoke plainly. I didn't speculate. I repeated the words I'd heard and explained why they mattered. There was a pause on the other end, the kind that signals recalculation. "I'll need to verify something," the voice said. Professional. Alert. "Yes," I said. "That would be appropriate." The ceremony began on time. Music swelled. People stood. I stood with them, hands folded, heart oddly quiet. The groom looked confident, composed. When he smiled at my daughter, I saw no malice. Just entitlement, well-practiced and unexamined. The interruption was gentle, almost polite, a hand on the officiant's arm. A request for a brief delay due to a documentation concern. The word documentation has a way of cooling rooms. Faces shifted from anticipation to confusion. The groom frowned, glanced toward me without recognition. They stepped aside. Voices stayed low. Nothing theatrical happened. But time stretched. Whispers began. Someone coughed. Then the officiant returned to the microphone, not apologetic, not angry. "Clear. There's been a material issue brought to our attention," they said. "We need to pause." The groom protested quietly at first, then more sharply. He was asked calmly to join a private discussion. His friends avoided his eyes. My daughter looked at me then, finally her smile faltering. I did not explain. Not yet. I met her gaze and nodded once. I hoped she could read what I meant. "I am here. I am not looking away." The pause became an ending. It wasn't dramatic. No one shouted. The groom left through a side door, his certainty stripped down to irritation, then something like fear. The officiant spoke with my daughter privately. She listened, still absorbing information the way she always had, slowly, with care, refusing to rush to the comfort of denial. Guests filtered out. Flowers drooped in their vases. The organ fell silent. Later, in a quiet room that no longer mattered, my daughter sat beside me. She did not cry. She did not thank me. She asked one question. "How long did you know?" "An hour," I said. She nodded. That was all. No forgiveness yet. No anger either. Just the honest space between us, raw and unarranged. I had not saved the wedding. I had not preserved appearances. What I had done would follow us both for a long time, changing the shape of things we hadn't yet named. But when I stood to leave, my daughter reached for my hand. Not tightly, not as reassurance. Just enough to say she understood that sometimes love looks like interruption. And sometimes dignity arrives without applause.